Hi, folks. This is Mountain Man coming to you from parts unknown. Oh, my word. Anyway, I hope you all are doing well. I'm once again simulcasting on Bumble and Utizzle. And if you think about it, give me a thumbs up so you don't forget. It helps the video get around. We got a lot to talk about tonight. I got my title, National Police Action. I don't know why I didn't bring that up earlier, and who's going to listen to my itty-bitty voice anyway. But we got to put this stuff to bed, these hoaxes and these distractions and bright and shiny things they put out there to get people to think in a dysphoric and idiotic way and ignore reality. So anyway, we're going to play some videos while people come in, and we're going to get like butter and be on a roll. So let me see, what do I want to play first? Here we go. Our friend Newt Gingrich, and I've got some other stuff I'm going to play.
That it is Barack Obama who corrupts the Justice Department. It is Hillary Clinton who routinely breaks the law and gets away with it. And now we have Joe Biden who's learned. He's learned from Obama that doesn't matter what you do, if you're a liberal Democrat, you will not be prosecuted. He learned from Hillary that a person in high public office can get millions and millions of dollars. And they learned from watching Donald Trump that a true outsider willing to take on the entire system could destroy their entire machine. So what you're seeing across the country is a desperate last-ditch effort by a corrupt machine to destroy their most dangerous opponent in a way which not only breaks the Constitution, destroys the rule of law, and establishes a moment of bitterness, which I think will last for a generation or more. I think this is going to be a horrendous period, and we just need to understand the people who want to control America and dictate to the rest of us will break any law, lie about any topic, and manipulate the system any way they can, and that includes a lot of the elite news media.
I'm a member of the DOJ Subcommittee of Oversight. We were tasked with finding waste, fraud, and abuse in the federal government and highlighting it. And one of those that we found, which Republicans and conservatives have talked about for decades, is state-sponsored media in the United States. China and North Korea have state-sponsored media. The United States does not need state-sponsored media. Listen, if Fox News or any other conservative news organization came to me and asked for taxpayer money, I would tell them no. And I certainly don't think we should be funding left-wing propaganda outlets like NPR or PBS. I had a hearing just a couple weeks ago where I got to question the head of NPR and ask her about some of the wild, outrageous things that she had been posting on the internet for the whole world to see, and she had no answer for that. The American people are sick of funding institutions who promote values that they find repugnant, and that's what we're doing with NPR and PBS. And that's what we are hopefully soon, via a rescission bill, going to pull those funds back.
So the president signed an executive order just this week threatening to defund sanctuary cities for their policies. Why not just arrest the leaders who are harboring and shielding illegal aliens, actually terrorists, from deportation?
Wait to see what's coming.
Storm zone.
Yes, sir.
I'm wondering what storm you're talking about.
They have unsuccessfully tried to take down the wrong person.
He's absolutely going to come back with full vengeance the next time around.
Now think about what 4 years of a retribution presidency might look like. Our Constitution really does give the president tremendous power to destroy. This will be something we could never have imagined.
Now the gloves are off.
Some of Trump's close political allies told him they are working on figuring out the identities of the FBI and DOJ staff and forming lists.
I will direct a completely overhauled DOJ to investigate every radical DA and AG in America for their illegal, racist enforcement of the law. The deep state is destroying our nation, but the tables must turn, and we will quickly destroy the deep state. We know where the bodies are buried. There are a lot of people out there that have done some very, very evil things, very bad things, I would say treasonous things against our country. People that have done such harm to our country. I've been looking at them for a long time.
He could order the investigation and prosecution of individuals who he sees as enemies.
Put them all in jail where they belong. You gotta get tough and smart, and you have to fight fire with fire. You can't allow this to go on. And I will be the one to clean it up. I am your retribution. We will take care of it. We will take care of it.
Hi, folks. Thank you for joining me tonight. We're going to go over some stuff that's happening. And things were kind of quiet on some fronts and not so much on others. But how you doing, Debbie? Nice to see you. Rubber Toe, Sissy, Robin, Debbie's here. Nice to see you. Flannel Cheese, Darla, Rebecca, Wayne's here. I know I got a thumbs up. Diane, did you give me a thumbs up too? Ha ha ha. Oh, Elian Omar is discussing. Yes, that's right, Debbie. Ha ha. So Sissy's here. Let's see. Kicking Bird's here. Todd's here. Okay, Gloria, nice to see you. Kim, MS Motorsports, nice to see you. So I want to put up my, well, I was going to put my battle damage assessment up. My finger hit this by accident. Well, maybe for a reason. Let me play it.
Because I'm telling you, these countries are calling us up, kissing my ass. They are dying to make a deal. Please, please, sir, make a deal. I'll do anything. I'll do anything, sir.
Ha ha ha, sound good to me. There we go, battle damage assessment. Ha 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 ha. Hi, Kathy, nice to see you. Sparky, nice to see you. Hawks, nice to see you too. So, anyway, yeah, we got Ketanji Brown mouthing off, Elian Omar mouthing off, all kinds of stuff. That Pritzker character. Who's that one that threw the football? I said he threw like a girl. I showed that video. What, I got his picture in here? Yeah. Here he is. Here he is. You know, on my thumbnail, I've got Ketanji Brown pointing at her head. And I put the word knowingly. Knowingly. You all know what I'm talking about. Hi, Justin Bean. When you knowingly break the law. When you know, mens res and actus res. The meanings of your action. What's your action? What was the results of your action? What did your action do? And what was the meaning behind your action? So anyway, this guy put out word that that little mention by Tom Homan, "What do you see what's coming?" was directed at him because he put out some memo telling everybody, make sure that you get a lawyer, make sure you don't answer your door, or whatever he put in there, you know, specific instructions on how to evade apprehension and to frustrate law enforcement. So I didn't ask him to be afraid. I didn't ask him to make a comment that he thought was targeting him, but he did. And then you got Ketanji Brown Jackson. Well, wait a minute. Here's what this obstruction definition. The crime of obstructing law enforcement officer is defined under state law as when a person willfully hinders, delays, or obstructs any law enforcement officer in the discharge of his or her official powers or duties. It is a statute that is often misused by police officers to punish a person for being uncooperative. Well, we're not talking about being uncooperative. We're talking about subverting the lawful actions of government officials and the president's objectives. So Ketanji, for some reason, she's in Puerto Rico, and she was mouthing off. Where is that article? She was mouthing off saying, what a disservice Trump, when Trump criticizes judges, they always play the victim. They always misrepresent. They always exaggerate. Here you go. Here, New York Times, that figures. New York Times, attacks on judges undermine democracy, warns Justice Jackson. Speaking to a judicial conference where the Supreme Court justice said attacks were designed to intimidate and influence. Here's where she's pointing at her head, pointing at the vacuum, the wind tunnel, known as her cranium. I just got the front part of the article. They jump up with all kinds of ads and paywalls and crap. Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, newest Supreme Court member, denounced what she described as, quote, relentless attacks on judges in an environment of harassment that ultimately risks undermining our Constitution and the rule of law. Across the nation, judges are facing increased threats of not only physical violence, but also professional retaliation just for doing our jobs. Oh, not a peep about Steve Scalise, who almost lost his life. 2 attempts on Donald Trump where he actually got shot in the ear. No, don't talk about that. Don't talk about cities burning to the ground. Don't talk about all the lives that have been lost to the BLM and anti-fizzle stuff that's been going on. All the fire bombings of Teslas. And we know at least one grandstander person is walking around free because the judge let him out. Or her, or whatever. So she's speaking at a conference for judges held in Puerto Rico. And the attacks are not random. They seemed designed to intimidate those of us who serve in this critical capacity. People in the know say when Ketanji Brown Jackson speaks, Clarence Thomas is visibly aggravated, stares at the ceiling, rolls his eyes, sits there with his mouth hanging open like, what am I listening to? Because of her prattle, her demented prattle. Judge Jackson did not mention President Trump by name. Like that takes a brain surgeon. Nor cite any specific attacks against judges. How about the ones that want to micromanage the presidency and conduct foreign policy and violate their own code of ethics and their own code of conduct with conflicts and the appearance of conflicts with family members who directly benefit from illegal migration or the persecution of Trump? Think Judge Merchan. Okay. Think about this Bozo Berg. Oh, he was a FISA court judge. He was involved in the Russia crap. He was involved in spying on members of the Trump administration. And then he claimed he was lied to by a altered email That's why he did the bad things he did. And when they caught the guy that altered the email, Judge Boasberg amazingly got the case and gave the guy a little tap on the wrist. I just tapped my wrist. You couldn't hear it because it was that soft. So, FISA works both ways, Bozoberg. FISA works both ways. And as I was alluding to last night, this predatory incursion is not limited to the acolytes and flunkies of the Maduro regime in Venezuela. Think larger than that. Think of NWO, New World Order, Marxists, communists, Moloch worshippers, whatever. They're all pushing for the same cause. And they're all invading our country in some form or another, conducting illegal psychological warfare campaigns. Justice Jackson didn't mention Trump by name. However, her remarks came as Mr. Trump. Oh, Washington Times doesn't say President Trump. What a repugnant bunch. And his allies have repeatedly targeted judges who have blocked. Listen, if Sonia Sotomayor hadn't wrote that scrambled egg opinion that the smooth brains cannot figure out, but when you look past all the fluff and the extrajudicial babble, it says you cannot force the president to return this individual. You can ask for him to facilitate his release. That's the exact word it says. Facilitate his release. So this crap of that Botox-lipped, butter-voiced slob that Trump was talking to in the Oval Office. Oh, President Trump, you know that every human being on American soil is due to process. They have rights. Don't you know that? What he said over and over again was that the Supreme Court ordered Trump to return him. And that is very clearly not at all what the scrambled egg opinion by Sotomayor said at all. So these hoaxes, we need to throw cold water on them. How many of you all saw Trump at the prayer meeting where he spoke? What was it, convention? He mentioned numerous times separation of church and state. And he was like, I'm not sure what they're talking about when they say that. And he said a few more things and he came back to it. Separation of church and state. That's something you'll hear the left squawk and yak about all the time. Many years ago, I got into a back and forth with a friend of mine who was a Coke bottle glass. You know, glasses look like Coca-Cola bottles. He's an egghead, commie, but we were friends, right? And he would always bring that up. Separation of church and state, separation of church and state. I said, it's not in the Constitution, dimblewit. What are you talking about? Of course it's in the Constitution. No, it's not. Without goggling anything, if anybody in the chats knows where this separation of church and state comes from, put it in the chats. But I'll tell you in a bit where it came from. It is a phrase, just like many other things they talk about that are not in the Constitution. It's not in the Constitution. And But they think it is. But this is showing you that Trump is aware of their hoax. Just like the term fossil fuels, like we get our oil from dinosaurs and we'll run out one day. They've been teaching kids that since the 1960s. And it is stupid. Oil is organic. It's a byproduct of vegetative life and lipids that give you cartilage, joint, ligaments, and soft tissue, and make bugs greasy and plants greasy and sap and algae. Effluent from algae is identical to oil. So it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck. So anyway, yeah, I've been through that enough times. You know that, guys. But that's just one example of many, 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 many hoaxes that they cram through the national psyche by redundancy, repetition, certainty in their hoax, to where they believe their own prattle in some cases. It's prattle. There is no separation of church and state. Diane guessed it came from public instructions. There you go, Todd. Danbury letter to Jefferson. That, I believe it was, you can check me on this, Todd. I believe it was Jefferson's response. It wasn't a letter. A letter. He said we must build a wall between church and state to protect the church from the state. Hi, Yvonne. Pappy Two Bears. How you doing? So this is how they twist and pervert words and meaning and the national understanding. Jefferson said, we need to build a wall between church and state to protect the church. Okay? But this country was founded in Judeo-Christian theology and beliefs. And there you have it. So Trump is dropping some seeds out there to say this is the next one we're going to work on. And he dropped some seeds out 5 years ago or more. I think 8 years ago, when he said birthright citizenship is improper the way it is being done now in this country. Oh, he's crazy. Yeah. He dropped it. But he brought it out there. And now there are motions in front of the Supreme Court concerning Trump's executive order about birthright citizenship, restoring the meaning, the legal meaning to its original state, which is in the 14th Amendment and has not been changed. And this hoax of the Alien Enemies Act is an old wartime document that nobody... BS. That's why I made sure I put the word police action in the title of the video. Because the President of the United States is the chief law enforcement officer, on top of being the commander-in-chief. And he can conduct enforcement activities around the country. Police actions. Especially when dealing with people who are non-citizens. He can do it with organized crime, with people that are citizens. He doesn't need a declaration of war. Predatory incursions, as we talked about last night, don't have to come from a nation state. They can come from gangs clubs, like the letter to Lincoln from Karl Marx and his little band of merry egghead morons that were forming the concept of communism back in 1865. They sent him a letter, which, as I said, was responded to by, I think it was Adams, John Adams' grandson, I believe. Ambassador responded and pretty much said, thanks for your letter, now go mind your own business. But they're attempting to infiltrate. And they come with gifts. They come as friends. Hi, Richard. Nice to meet you, Richard. I'm trying to figure out where you're... Yeah, Todd, it is... It's in the Constitution that the government shall not establish a religion. What Jefferson was talking about was after the Constitution was written, to say that we must maintain a wall so that they can't destroy a religion. Not only can they not create and promote a religion, but they cannot destroy others' religion or suppress others' religions. You went to sign up for Social Security. Man in front of me had no Social Security number. So why would the office help him and not call ICE? Wow. On my thumbnail, gosh, I got videos I want to show you guys. I want to tell you, almost picked a comment out. I got to be careful. Let me find it. I put on my thumbnail the 800 number. Because let me tell you something, folks. It's 866 DHS 2 and then ICE. Okay, that's the 800 number. I would call in and report the time, the location. You got me? Where am I at in the chats? Oh, my. I don't know where I'm at. Richard, you got me, Richard? Call that number and check my thumbnail. You see it in the upper right-hand corner. And just tell them you're concerned. Yeah, the wilderness of the world and the garden of the church. That was Thomas Jefferson's peculiar felicity of expression. That's what John Adams said. That's why they picked him to write the Declaration of Independence, because of his peculiar felicity of expression. So, anyway, and I say to call that number because Tom Homan laid it out very clear many times. I'm going to play you this one, but before I do that, I'm going to play you this one. And he's talking to everybody. And I said weeks and weeks ago that judges are not immune from criminal prosecution. And as we learned from Governor Rick Perry years ago, he didn't even do any damn thing wrong. And they arrested him, mugshotted him. He was the governor of Texas. So they're going to be hung by their own petard. So anyway, here's one dose of Tom Homan.
But I said from day one, you can sit aside and watch, you can argue against us all you want and protest all you want, but when you cross that line, I've said this 1,000 times, when you cross that line to impediment or knowingly harboring, concealing an illegal alien from ICE, you will be prosecuted.
That's one example. And the thing to remember is that they are aware, they have been aware that people in government and non-governmental organizations have been aiding and abetting. I'll let you hear how he describes it.
They're all being investigated, and we're going to hold people accountable. What the Biden administration did, especially Mayorkas, was treasonous. What they did to our border. And we're going to investigate the NGOs. You know, all these, they made billions of dollars complicit in alien smuggling and human trafficking. So we know these contracts were not done the proper way. We know a lot of relationships resulted in billions of dollars being handed to these NGOs. I got the promise from my friends on the Hill that we're going to do a thorough investigation and hold those accountable who broke the law. That stuff stops, and we're not going to pay $500 a night for a bed through an NGO when we're going to put them in an ICE bed, $117 a night. But that's going to be fully investigated. People will be held accountable. We're not letting this go. We'll be looking at everybody that was involved with this tragedy on the border and hold them accountable.
Everybody. And I want to remind you of some, I know most people in the chats know this, but you know what? If I have a friend and he says, hey, I want to go rob somebody, I'm just going to sneak in the house. I heard he's got some money under the bed, and I'm going to get the money and run back out, and we'll go drink beer. And I say, yeah, okay, that sounds good to me. And I'm sitting out in the car. He goes in the house. Pow, pow, bang, bang. He comes running out. What happened? Oh, man, he caught me, and I had to do him in. I'm just as guilty of the M word as an herder as he was. Even though it was my intention, I might get a lighter sentence, but I'm going to jail. So people say, well, I was only trying. I always thought I was helping people that are illegal. Well, if the people that you helped in cause loss of life, you're in big trouble. That's something that a lot of people aren't talking about. So with Ketanji Brown Jackson talking about how victimized these judges are, I'm so sorry that I have to give a language warning, but that's the way of the world today, especially with these dizzy liberals that feel, after they've had it pounded in their head, illegals deserve due process, and all the other crap that's being pumped in their heads. The tariffs are going to destroy our economy. This is what you come up with.
Stephen Miller talking shit in the Oval Office and Tom Horman talking shit in front of the news about how they're going to go after these immigrant rapists and yada, yada, yada. Bullshit. Where the hell does Steve Miller live? Who's his family? What town is he from? Where's the same thing with Tom Horman? We should know all about them. So crimes against humanity, they have to answer for it. By who? By we the people.
What is this idiot talking about? First of all, if you want to know everything about him, learn how to pronounce his name. It's not Horman, it's Holman. H-O-M-A-N. But what crimes against humanity? Enforcing the law? But anyway, he's going to talk some more, believe me.
Elon Musk, give a shit about his security detail. Where's his family? Where do they live? Where does he rest his head at night? We all should know. You get tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of civilians going into an area. You think you're going to shut us down? No. Slowly silence everybody into fear and cowering and not acting. Bullshit. Don't feel afraid. There's a lot more of us than there are of them.
So he wants to go and menace people at their homes, find out where they are, because they committed crimes against humanity. You know what kind of vitriol that incites? Here's Jack Posobiec. Jack Posobiec goes to a rally that Jamie Raskin is having. Did you all see this? I had this the other day. With all these peaceful, wonderful liberals. And he shouts out a question to Jamie Raskin. Watch how welcoming this crowd is.
The right to organize unions. Yeah. For redress agreements. We're going to defend the right to assemble. Yeah. We know with Dr. King that the greatness of America is the right to protest for what is right. Against lawbreakers who take office. And that's where we are today. I'll leave you with my friends with the words of the great Marylander Frederick Douglass.
Jamie, why did you lose the popular vote? Why did you lose every single swing state? Why did you lose? Get off me. Why? Let me talk. Let me talk. It's not fake. Look at this. 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 They're assaulting me, you motherfucker. Why'd you leave? Get out of here. Can I get my phone? No. Back up. We'll get your stuff. Back up. We'll get your stuff.
You know, I'll tell you, they've got these people. They've got these people right on the edge of violence, actually committing violence. And they're so stupid. Like Trump is putting the word out there that these tariffs can restore us back to 1916 and prior, where we didn't pay income tax. You didn't have people sticking their nose in your business. You kept the fruits of your labor. But so many people file taxes for one reason: to get money. A lot of them way more than they ever paid in because of all these handouts. So they don't want to do away with that. They want the slob who doesn't have all the credits and the rebates and the, this and that to keep paying and to keep working like a debt slave. So these union workers they've gotten out of control to the point of violence. Not only them, but these anti-tizzle and trans-tizzles. Laura Loomer went down and got some more pictures of, I think the bus company was called Chariot of Wheels or something like that, busing in people to May Day protests in D.C. May Day is a communist holiday. Did you know that? Well, I didn't get the clips of that because we've seen the weirdos showing up on buses and raising the devil. But Andy No, let me see if I can find that. Andy No here. Andy No put out 4 suspected violent Antifa and Trantifa militants. I'll read it to you. I did the I went ahead and recorded it while I was reading it, so I wouldn't have to do it twice. Ha ha! Okay, here's what we're up against. 4 suspected violent Antifa and Trantifa militants were arrested yesterday at a Mayday violent direct action in Frederick, Maryland. There's Andy Knows. Andy Knows reported this. They were masked and black, dressed in black, attacked drivers on the street, and assaulted responding police. So read the report at andyknow.com. There they are, all 4 of them. What do we got here? Weir Andromeda. You see her birthday, 7? Eastwood Joseph. Oh, he's a little older. How do you pronounce that? Jayla Madison. What do you think that is? Anybody's guess? Oh, look at that. Gainey, Joshua Lewis. Oh, boy. Yeah, paid protesters, and they get bussed to these different places. And I'm sure DHS, Homeland Security, is tracking these buses and tracking these losers, right? Well, I'm just looking at the chats real quick. Act Blue, that's right. Something's going to bust open with Act Blue. Oh, and before I went live, I saw Rudy Giuliani was his live stream. He was discussing Fauci working with Moderna. That's bubbling up. There is so much stuff that is bubbling up, along with him trying to get rid of Pete Hegseth. Here's a little meme for you to put on your meta page. On your meta page, let me make it small enough. There you go. So you get the whole thing. Our Pete, their Pete. Ha 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 ha. What is this business about 100 men against a silverback gorilla? I just started seeing stuff about that. The White House put this. No, was this the White House? Yeah, the White House put this out. 100 men versus 1 gorilla is still up for debate. Meanwhile, 142,000 plus illegal alien criminals went up against 1 President Trump. They all got deported. 100 deported aliens, 142,000 versus 1 President Trump. So anyway, I saw a couple of things about that. Could 100 men beat a... Here. Tim Walsh volunteers to wear a gorilla suit and wrestle 100 men. I don't doubt it. I think he would enjoy that in some strange way. But that's just me thinking that. So I don't know. Maybe everybody else thinks that too. Oh, some nice little memes to put on your meta page. How I imagined, 2025 as a kid. How it turned out. Wait a minute. I got to make it a little smaller. Pedophilia is bad. Source. Well, television shows. I don't doubt it. Well, anyway, here we go. This hoax, another hoax with the Trende Aragua guy. The Babylon Bee. Media says no evidence demon-horned man with Sith tattoos and a red lightsaber is member of the Sith. So people are having fun with it. But anyway, I guess you all have seen the video of him getting pulled over. There was a 5-minute version of it. I didn't copy that, but I have a shorter version. But even before that, I've got his blushing bride. I don't know if they're actually married. I'm wondering how you get a marriage license when you're not been ordered out of the country. But this is where she's talking to a judge. Talking to a judge about what he's done to her and the kids. This is in court records.
I came to fill out a protective order. I think it was in December. But I didn't show up to the court because his family washed my brain telling me that his dad was sick and not to do it. So I didn't do anything. But after that, it was I would call the police. I have a lot of police reports. And I kept trying to get to the door basement to try to open the door, and then he pushed me. So then when I was able to go outside to get a phone, I called 911 from a disconnected phone. Now they took a long time to get to the house. It was probably 20-30 minutes. So I saw a neighbor walking his dog, and I opened the door and I was like, help. And then when he heard me, he grabbed me from my hair and then he slapped me. And then the neighbor, he didn't know what to do. He didn't know what to react. I have pictures of the evidence, all the bruises, because even on Wednesday, he hit me around 3 in the morning. He would just wake up and hit me. And then last Saturday for my daughter's birthday party, before I went to my daughter's birthday party, he slapped me 3 times. And then last week I did call the police. My sister called the police because he hit me in front of my sister.
Yeah, and on it goes. It says she's got a video of him actually saying he's going to KILL her, and there won't be anything anybody can do about it. I guess it's because of his connections, right? Here he is in the van. It's only a minute or so. I'm not sure. But you'll hear the officer say he's getting paid for delivering people, trafficking people. And don't forget, he's driving a vehicle that was owned by his boss, and his boss had already been convicted of human smuggling. He's got no driver's license. He never showed proof of insurance. And he was just let go after the officers called the FBI. They told him to let him go. That's why I was saying he could be a higher level operative than a lot of people know. So anyway, he started off no speaky, but by this time he can speaky a little bit. Just enough to wiggle out of it.
Are they? The colors. Yeah. From Texas is good. How many rows have you got in here? 4? Where? 4 seats? 4 rows of seats? Yeah, it's 3 seats. Yeah, with it. Yeah. Did y'all put an extra one in? Huh? Did y'all put another one in? No. Did it come like this? Use the truck. I've never seen one with that many seats in it. What you say? It's my boss. I said I've never seen one with that many seats. Oh, really? Yeah. That's why I was asking if you'd put an extra one in. No, it's the same. Like this. Okay.
You know what you got, right? You know what you got here, right?
No.
He's hauling these people for money, is what he's doing. But sometimes they commingle dope. No,
but
there's 8 people in there.
Yeah, I know. I didn't know that. They put an extra row of seats in there.
Yeah. So he's getting paid to haul these people, probably to Maryland, I would say, if I had my guess.
He said that.
Yeah, they know he's from Maryland. He's shipping people up to Maryland. Here's one I don't think anybody's seen yet. It's a woman whose husband is getting picked up apparently by not just ICE, but FBI. Maybe just FBI. You'll hear her hollering that. No, we don't know what the guy did, what he's done in the past, where he's from. But let me say this. For the FBI to be involved and physically there, it isn't just picking up somebody who's picking strawberries, and overstayed their visa. There's something going on here. But she's really upset. I'll go ahead and play it.
Married for 28 years to my husband, who is being deported right now by ICE. 28 years. He's been here over 30 years, and I want everybody to know, nobody gives a shit if you have family, if you have kids. They don't give a shit if they're taking your husband or your father away. They are taking my husband away. These are FBI agents who work for Border Patrol. Okay? I want everybody to know, my family was just separated. They have taken my kid's father, and they don't give a shit. They have taken my husband away. I want everybody to know. They have taken my husband away. They don't care. They're separating family. Please, I need somebody to help me. I want everybody to know what they're doing. They are taking my husband away. They don't give a shit.
It is, who knows? FBI, there's something going on. There's something going on with this person. Is she like millions of others who are getting housing assistance, claiming they're alone? They don't have a spouse to help them, and they get free rent or near free rent and enhanced food stamps. And meanwhile, having a man living there, I don't know, but there's millions of them that do it. Has he committed any violent crimes? Who knows? But the lefties are like, oh, he's been here 28 years and look how cruel they are to him. Well, he's a lucky SOB to be here that long. That's all I can tell you. That's all I can tell you. What's the deal with this? A trans-identifying black man, Zion Teasley, fatally took a blade to Lauren Heike 15 times during a hike in Arizona because he was jealous of her appearance. I'm putting this up now because I'm going to talk about another story. I'm going to talk about this story. Have you heard about this? I'm sure you have. The reason I put that story up first was because no matter what anybody thinks of this situation, she was a single woman alone with her child and being confronted by a man, a hostile man. White mom calls child N-word, gets doxxed and raises over 140. It's around 300,000 now, is what I've heard. Amid racial firestorm, a white mom's viral slur has ignited a crowdfunding frenzy, with supporters rejecting BLM-era guilt. Here's the picture of her that's going around, most people are seeing. There she is. R.I.P. white guilt. Here's the incident. Let's see. Let me find that. And keep in mind the story I just showed you about the hiker who got 15 in the ribs, back, whatever, and is no longer alive. That's the context I put this in. When I see a vulnerable, she's no pushover, I will say that. But she is a female alone with her child. And this person, I'll tell you a story about him in a minute. But here's the incident.
Call him a nigger, the child? Did you call the child the nigger word? It is my own business. You call him a nigger? Okay, why don't you have the balls to say it right now again?
You nigger.
Okay.
Nigger.
All right, that's what you say.
You don't go digging through people's shit, you dumb.
Nobody digging into your shit.
A little kid just did, you dumbass.
That little kid, you call him a nigger?
Yeah.
The little child?
What if he acts like one, he's gonna...
Are you about to hit him? You chase him here?
He took my son's stuff.
So that gives you the right to call the child, 5-year-old, a nigger, the N-word.
If that's what he's gonna act
That's
like.
what you're gonna call him.
That's what he's gonna act like.
You know, that's a hate speech. And you can be recorded for that.
I don't give a shit.
Huh. Okay, we'll see about that, what the internet has to say about
I don't know if you caught it there at the end, but she ended up by going blah, blah, blah at him. So she's gutsy. She's gutsy. And you know what? I have heard that word thousands and thousands and thousands of times, mostly from people of color. Mostly from people of color. And this guy was definitely giving her that moral guilt, right? How dare she? You know that's hate speech. You know you're going to get in trouble. Well, here's the guy right here with his brother. I'm not sure which one he is. Whoa, where'd it go? Mr. Self-Righteous. Him and his brother. Maybe it's not his brother. I don't know. Mohammed Hussein Omar and Sharmik Bale. Omar was Omar and Omar. So I don't know. At the Olmsted County Adult Detention Center. That's why I'm saying she was gutsy, because she was by herself. 2 Rochester men will appear in court May 5th on joint charges of 3rd and 5th. That's 3 days from now. Degree criminal S3 actual conduct after being accused of being a 16-year-old after offering her a place to stay. One's 42 and the other one's 30. May receive a joint trial for charges of 3rd-degree criminal S3 actual conduct. Penetration of a person under 18, uses coercion, and 5th-degree sexual criminal conduct. Non-consensual penetration dating back to January 20, 2022. According to Olmsted County Court records. Oh, so we got this guy running around for 4 years? Well, let me tell you, I know who knows whether or not they're American television shows. He's definitely going to check it out. Tom Holman. And they belong in CCOT. That's what CCOT was made for. And these liberal judges that let them out, let them run around, their day is coming. They're going to be removed from the bench, if not, depending on their behaviors, criminally charged. So she was by herself, standing up to these types of characters. And as I've said, I've heard that word thousands of times. But we live in a society where if certain people say it, they could get physically harmed, while other people say it, and it's A-OK. You can put in music, you can make millions off of albums, you can scream it down the street at each other, but not if you're light-skinned. Here's a meme. I can't believe she used the N-word. Yeah, oh, just awful. Two drippy liberals. The elephant in the room. A-B-L and then A-K, A-C-K. P3DO file, alone at a children's playground filming people. Yeah, what's he doing in the playground? 3 days. Well, when did this happen? It happened yesterday. And the video came out early this morning. So 4 or 5 days before he's supposed to go to court with his buddy for 2 grown men assaulting a 16-year-old. But, and daggone near, if it wasn't for those charges, what do you think he would have done with this woman? What do you think he would have done to her? Punch her in the face? I don't know. But that reminds me of this guy here. Should I play the video? Because you know when this guy ran for mayor down there in Georgia, I believe Atlanta. I'm not sure which little precinct. Hi, Mac. How you doing? Which little precinct he ran for mayor? Hi, Darla. But anyway, maybe I can cut it off before he says the word. Let's see. I've heard it 1,000 times.
You want to know why I'm here to support President Trump? Because they done did black men like this for decades. Make up charges and put them, so I know Trump is innocent. I support Trump against this corrupt, two-tiered justice system. That's why I'm here to show my support as a black man for Trump. And I'm wearing my shirt.
Oh, I had my mute button on. Well, hopefully you could read what's on the screen because I just read it. Yeah, I had the mute button on. Anyway, I hit that mute button because of the N-word that I tried to mess up. But anyway, that's what happens when you get censored. Everybody can say a word. Let me tell you, I go on YouTube and I hear creators who are people of color. All right, fine. But they use that word all the time. On YouTube. But anyway, Operation Tidal Wave. We have to keep referring to this stuff as a police action. Get that garbage notion of it being a wartime proclamation out of here. It is a domestic police operation, policing the country when you have unlawful incursions. Here it is. This is the donations to that girl. Some of them she's getting. There's George Floyd. $20 US. Don't worry. The 20 is not fake. Austin Metcalf's real dad. $20. Thank you for being stronger than I am. And the word on the street is that there are a lot of people of color donating. They think she's brave. I think she's brave too. And, you know, I don't resort to that terminology. But then again, I didn't have somebody stealing my stuff when I'm trying to have take my kid to a park and having some grown freaky criminal walking around taping stuff. Anyway, here is a example, another example of what we're up against.
I'd rather have 100 bad haircuts than to deal with 100 days of Donald Trump.
I'd rather have 100 vaccination shots in my arm.
I would rather have to take 100 scammer calls than go through the last 100 days.
I would rather have 100 children on a bus singing 100 bottles of beer on the wall.
I would rather sit on Interstate 84 in a traffic jam for 100 hours.
I'd rather cook 100 family meals, and believe me, my kids are going to find this very funny, than 100 days of Trump.
I'd rather take the bar exam 100 times than have another 100 days of the Trump.
What a bunch of weak. How weak is they can't meme, they can't put out good videos. Nobody cares about you. That's not even funny. You'd rather cook 100 meals for your children than do 100 days of Trump. That means you can't cook one meal a day for one of your kids. You got them in the plural. Man. So that's supposed to be whatever it is, you know, idiotic nonsense. Here's something put on Facebook. Whoa, where'd it go? There it is. Chuck Schumer says Trump's 100 days were a failure. Well, he hadn't told the truth in 30 years, so, yeah. Hi, Larry. You can read my lips. Debbie said mute. Am I still on mute? I can't be still on mute. Oh, okay. It's a little delay there. Let me get Ketanji Brown Jackson off. I don't want to look at her anymore. I got her in my studio. I got to get her out. That way I can get the clutter out of here. You know, instead of the attacks, why don't... Here's a little something from Maria Bartiromo. Let me see if I still got it in the studio. If they were normal reporters, not like that creep that was, I might not have it in here. Not like that creep that interviewed Trump. You know, they've got to be hostile. They got to try to do gotcha questions. They've got a list of their talking points and hoaxes and narratives. Here we go. Here's Maria Bartiromo. This is how you report when you have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. For most Americans, it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to be with the president. Would you behave like that dope that I talked about earlier? But here's Maria Bartiromo.
I was incredibly honored to have dinner with President Trump and his key communications director, Stephen Chung, at the White House last night. We dined in the Red Room and discussed his very successful first 100 days in office in his second term, from the secure border to reining in inflation to the rest of his agenda, which is being worked on as we speak, which the president expects to pass in a timely manner in the coming months. The president could not have been more gracious and generous with his time. After an incredibly busy night meeting business leaders at the press conference and then in the Oval Office, the president was kind enough to dine with me and feast on a bundle of bib lettuce salad and petite filet of beef with baby kale, followed by strawberry shortcake. I was so grateful to see some of the president's new designs at the White House and the changes, including that iconic portrait of President Trump with his fist in the air, saying fight, fight, fight after being shot in the ear back on July 13th last year. Before dinner, I was able to snap a few shots of some of the most beautiful rooms in the White House and take a mini tour of the historic surroundings. I thank President Trump for his time last night. Take a look at this. This is the back door where the White House staff is walking around a lot. This is the brick that was burned when the British set fire to the White House in 1814. That burnt brick is still there for a stark reminder of the United States' strength and the White House's leadership. Thank you so much, President Trump, for your leadership, friendship, and protection of this great nation.
Yeah, compare that to that creep that got to do the interview with Trump. Combative, smarmy, tried to be complimentary. Here is a couple of reports that Donald Trump put up on his Truth Social page. So I went ahead and put them in the studio. Again, it's Maria Bartiromo's Sunday show.
As President Trump would say, it's going to be the best economy anybody has ever seen. Look, we've got a market that is reflecting that, and he's just done a huge deal with Ukraine, establishing this U.S.-Ukraine Reconstruction Investment Fund. What are we waiting on? We are waiting on India. We are waiting on South Korea. We are waiting on Japan. We could see trade deals there. And, of course, we are waiting on next week with the European Union coming up with its own proposals. No doubt that is going to include a proposal to lower tariffs between the U.S. and Europe. And then we'll see what happens with China. That's the biggie. Already they're quietly exempting U.S. Goods from tariffs in China. So that's a positive. And that is why we've got this market rally underway.
$436,000 increase in the number of people who are employed. So this is an amazing report. The number of people, the labor force participation rate rose. So this is a really strong number. I wanted to mention one other quick thing. You know, about 2 weeks ago, every headline, Wall Street Journal, New York Times, Washington Post, was, oh, the stock market is crashing. And since then, the market has been up, what, like 2,800 points.
Yeah, well, you don't see that
headline. By the way, I don't see headlines about that.
That was the point. That was the point that Scott Bessent made. Yeah, Scott Bessent made the same point yesterday. That, you know,
exactly. He made that point.
Yeah, the stock market, you know, the good news, you know, forget it. They're not going to report it. The only place you'll see it is not even all the time on Fox. You'll see it like on shows like Maria Bartiromo's. I want to show you all this. This is what you call very lucky people. And this is a small plane that crash landed on a golf course. And I talked about how these private planes are not under the auspices of flight traffic control or anything to do with where they could blame it on the Trump administration. But if this had ended up in tragedy, they would have said 4 people died in a plane crash, or somebody got hurt in a golf course. Could even up the amount of people. They would be blaming it on Trump. But anyway, at the very beginning, you'll see what's called ground effect, where it pushes the air from the ground, pushes the wings up and prevents a crash. It does crash, but not as fast as it could have. And missing some trees awful close.
Oh, guys. I'm not moving. I'm not fucking. I'm not fucking. Holy shnikes. Are they okay?
Yeah, believe it or not, that's what they call a good landing. Any landing you walk away from. But, yeah, I thought the wing broke off, but it didn't. It stayed intact. But anyway, when that prop touches the ground even a little bit, that whole engine's got to be taken out and rebuilt. But anyway, that was a close call there. I just thought I'd I'm interested in stuff like that. I've been up there in the hazy blue, flying around clear blue. Anyway, I've got these different reports. We know, here's Libs at TikTok. Libs at TikTok again. Our taxpayer dollars went to alpaca farming in Peru in improving the marketability of peas in Guatemala. And as we know, Guatemala is the real country Abrego Garcia was afraid to go to. But anyway, we'll get into that. But it gets worse. Most of the money marked for those grants never made it out of D.C. They just spent it. Nobody checked up on it. Nobody. Here we go again. This is Alex. Elon Musk reposted this. Breaking. Doge staffer reveals the Institute of Peace had a $130,000 contract with a former member of the Taliban. And deleted 1 terabyte of accounting records when Doge entered headquarters. The data was recovered and evidence was referred to the FBI and the DOJ. Autism Capital. New Doge team says there was a $4 billion COVID fund in the Department of Education that had no receipts required. Don't worry about it. Just tell us. So government employees could draw down on it and use the money for parties and to rent out venues like Caesar's Palace, etc. You don't need receipts. But the rabid libs aren't paying attention to any of this. They want their gravy train. Project Constitution. 40,000 Chinese nationals are being deported, and the media is silent. For years, China refused to take back their citizens who entered the U.S. illegally, even after they were ordered deported. They just walked free on American soil. But now that's over. After major pressure, China finally caved, and deportation flights are taking off. 40,000 Chinese nationals are finally heading home. Funny how the media only talks about how much they hate Trump, but stay silent on this. This is a huge win for American immigration policy. This is what we voted for, MAGA. Am I allowed to say that word, MAGA? I guess so. I hope so. Oh my gosh. Big scandal unfolding in Manatee schools. I hate these stories. A mother alleges a male teacher, S3, actually groomed her daughter. He reportedly wrote letters to her saying he loved her, locked himself in a room with her alone, and had inappropriate text conversations. The teacher has resigned amid the allegations. The mother is calling for consequence and accountability. Well, maybe we're hitting a new day. The old days, they would do like Tim Walz and resign and go join the National Guard, and nothing will be said about it. Nobody bring it up again. Funny how we talked about this last night. James Wood posts this. Why Democrats love illegal aliens. For every 770,000 illegals who filled out the 2010 U.S. Census in a sanctuary city or state, the Democrats got another seat in the U.S. House of Representatives apportioned to them. Now, do you understand why the Democrat Party likes sanctuary cities and open borders? What do we figure was 27 seats? The Republicans would be up by 27 seats if it wasn't for this game they're playing. Trump's doing it. We're going to take away Harvard's tax-exempt status. It's what they deserve. Next, impound their endowment. But who am I? I'm not going to tell President of the United States what to do. In foreign affairs, Hakes has put this out. Message to Iran. We see your lethal support to the Houthis. We know exactly what you're doing. You know very well what the U.S. military is capable of, and you were warned. You will pay the consequence at the time and place of our choosing. Why such strong language? Well, you know, the other day, I had a report from Russian news, and I also heard it on other sources, about this U.S. Navy loses $60 million fighter jet at sea after it fell overboard from an aircraft carrier. An F-18 Super Hornet fighter jet has been lost at sea after it fell overboard from the USS Harry S. Truman. The aircraft carrier was being towed on board, the Navy said in a statement on Monday. A U.S. official said that initial reports from the scene indicated that the Truman made a hard turn to evade Houthi fire, which contributed to the jet fighter falling overboard. Wow, you got to really, to move a deck with that much force and tip it like that to dump a jet. The Houthi rebel group claimed on Monday to have launched a drone and missile attack on the aircraft carrier, which is in the Red Sea, as part of the U.S. military's major anti-Houthi operation. So now we may know why Pete Hegseth sent such a strong message to Iran. The incident is actually the second publicly confirmed instance of Houthi missiles coming within close range of an American aircraft carrier. First reported in the October 2024 issue of CTC Sentinel, a monthly publication of the Combating Terrorism Center at West Point. Article about author Michael Knights wrote about how the Houthis achieved some, quote, impressive feats of marksmanship against ships and weapons. By some accounts, an ASBM anti-ship ballistic missile or other missile arrived at a very shallow trajectory with minimal warning, without a chance for interception, and splashing down around 200 meters, 656 feet, from the Eisenhower, the USS Eisenhower. So this emergency maneuver was very pronounced, very sudden, and we lost a $60 million jet. Here, I put this up earlier, but I wasn't ready to talk about it. Germany just gave its spy agency new powers. This is from Marco Rubio, Secretary of State. New powers to surveil the opposition. Boy, doesn't that sound familiar. That's not democracy, it's tyranny in disguise. Oh, you mean like Boasberg was signing off on the FISA warrants? This judge that is trying to arrest Trump officials for contempt? He's still at it, you know. What is truly extremist is not the popular AfD, which took second in the recent election, but rather the establishment's deadly open border immigration policies. Here's a German Foreign Office said this is a democracy. This decision is the result of a thorough and independent investigation to protect our Constitution and the rule of law. The rule of law according to whom? It is independent courts that will have the final say. Yeah, right. Now you see the danger why we don't have independent courts making up our decisions. We have learnt from our history that right-wing extremism needs to be stopped. Well, I heard that support for the party has skyrocketed since they started this crap. Let me play this person here. I think it's a nice message from someone who's not blue-haired, losing their mind.
In liberal hellhole California, the Democrats there blocked a bill to make sex trafficking minors a felony. Again. And for clarification, this means that owning a child sex slave is legal in the state of California. No, I am not mistaken. This is AB 379, and in April of 2025, the Democrats amended the bill to exclude felony charges for those who solicit or purchase 16 and 17-year-olds unless it can be proven that the minor was a victim of human trafficking, which is hard to prove. So it's just a misdemeanor. How anyone can support the Democrats any longer?
Yeah, she's spilling the beans, putting it out in public about they're trying to make it a misdemeanor, messing with young people. Hi, Bambi. How you doing? Miss Mendersue, how are you? Yeah, hit that like button. Oh, I have a link for Buy Me a Coffee if anybody wants to help support the channel. It's in the description on both Rumble and Utizzle. And I want to thank Shannon and Mike and Bev for helping out this week. I really appreciate it. I'm a totally viewer-supported channel. I'm not monetized by Utizzle. And Buy Me a Coffee link helps keep the channel alive, as they say. It keeps me in coffee. Let me have a sip of my coffee. I'm going to put something up. I don't know. What is going on with these people? That was good coffee. What's going on with these people? This guy here, he says his father won't even talk to him. Prince Harry loses bid to reinstate security on visits to the United Kingdom. We all know Grandmama told him to pack up his hush puppies and hit the road. But why his father won't talk to him, I don't know. And really don't care, but there you have it. So he's going to have to pay he's got the money. Pay a lot of money and get your own security. Fauci's got to. I don't think he's got anything to do with that stuff. Maybe. Here's a fun article right here. This is probably the only true headline NPR has done in a long time. NPR writes about itself. Trump orders to end federal funding, for NPR and PBS. Yeah, I played that video at the beginning. We don't need to fund a bunch of propaganda, a bunch of commie Marxist propaganda. This is where we see the real predatory incursion. What is enabling this smaller incursion with Nicaragua is the main incursion that's been going on for decades. Marxist ideology infiltrating our government and our media. What's this one? Radical left protesters. This is where Laura Loomer caught them getting bussed in to D.C. for the anti-Trump May Day protest today. A protester from CASA, a Marxist and pro-illegal alien group that advocates for blacks and Hispanics, was seen exiting the bus. And he became enraged at Loomer Unleashed after we exposed CASA protests being bussed into D.C. I don't think there's anything wrong with advocating for blacks and Hispanics unless they're illegal. Oh my goodness, the anti-Trump protester told Downs, use that terrible word and other terrible words. N-word, I'll bust your mother flipping say it to my face, homeboy. I'll crack your head upside your blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, they're real. Ketanji Brown. What do you got to say about that stuff? Yeah, a bunch of violent Marxists. What's this one? This is Loomer again. There they are. Members of Antifa waving the trans flag were President Kass's anti-Trump May Day protests. I wonder how many were there. They paid for them to be there, which featured protesters being bussed in to Washington, D.C. They struggled to get people to chant with them as they held signs that said, "Make Nazis afraid again." Sounds to me like it was a big flop. And they're running out of money because Doge has shut down all that hog trough they've been feeding on. The hog trough. Oh, now they're picking on John Fetterman. Didn't I say they wouldn't forgive their fellow Democrats for not towing the line? Hi, Greta. How you doing? Well, here they're after Fetterman, all by himself. Since winning in 2022, John Fetterman has lost his closest advisors, including 3 of his top spokespeople, his legislative director, and his chief of staff. Why? Because he didn't want to bash Israel and Jewish people? Former and current staffers painted a picture of an erratic senator who has become almost impossible to work for and whose mental health situation is more serious and complicated than previously reported. Since he was advocating for nonviolence and sanity, now you're worried about it. Not when he was couldn't say 10 words during the elections in a row. But now that he's not towing the line, no one is saying every issue, say his respectful relationship with Trump, stems from his mental health, but it's become harder to tell which ones do. Fetterman's staffers, his truest believers, now question his fitness to be senator. They worry he may be a present danger to the Democratic Party and even to himself. He's going to have to switch parties. He's going to have a epiphany. Because somebody leaked this video out about him. I guess they think it was a big deal. I don't think he wanted to put his seatbelt on, or his seatbelt stuck underneath his belly or something. But I think they're trying to make a big deal out of this. Tell me what you think. Is this a big deal?
Is your seatbelt on? Yes, it is. Okay, it needs to be visible for the crew at all times. That's not on. That's not an us thing. That's a federal regulation. So it's okay. It's okay. Okay, it's okay, but it just has to be visible to the crew at all times. It's a federal regulation, so if your seatbelt's on, it just has to be visible. And right now, it's not visible. We have an extender if you'd like that. It'll make it bigger so it can go outside of your sweatshirt. Would that work? So if you want to go to Pittsburgh, it's simple. You have to follow our instructions, or you're going to ask to get off the airport. We're not asking much. All that happen, like all that we need is to be able to see your seatbelt at all times. I've been flying for 30 years now. I've never experienced it. I'm not sure what's happening. Okay, well, it's a federal regulation, so if I don't make you do it, then I get in trouble, and I don't want to get in trouble because I like my job.
So I don't know. Having trouble with a seatbelt. I don't think it's a big deal, but he can expect more, I'll just call them like it is, attacks. More attacks out of the blue. Let me see what's going on in the comments. So, I have got a video that I don't know how CNN let get by the censors. But it's harder for them to, if they want content, they got to let things get through that they don't like. But before I get to that, I want to put this up. Every single moment we have on earth is a gift from God. President Donald J. Trump. And that's why I try to end every broadcast by thanking you all for spending your precious time with me. I started off my broadcast discussing how life is finite, life is precious, every minute. And now we see Donald Trump echoing that same sentiment. And once you spend your time, you don't get it back. The only thing you try to do is extend your time on the earth and do your best to please God while you're here. And many of us fall way short of that. But being that it's so precious, that makes me even more grateful for every one of you who wish to spend your time with me. That having been said, I'm going to play this video on the way out to show you that change is possible. We have Van Jones here. I don't know if he'll ever change. He's a commie through and through. But listen to the people he's interviewing. And like I said, if they don't post this, what are they going to do? Have somebody juggling plates or tap dancing? It seems like the only stories they can get are showing that there is a great awakening occurring. So folks, I hope you enjoy this video. And again, thank you for spending your precious time with me. I'll be seeing you soon. This is my man, over and out.
Always a Republican?
No. Actually, I come from a family that was like super Democratic. My first time voting, I voted Democrat. I voted for Joe Biden.
What about Trump appealed to you?
Am I allowed to cuss?
Yeah, you can.
I mean, part of it is he's an asshole. I like authenticity.
You voted for Obama then you voted for Hillary Clinton in 2016, but 2020 you voted for Donald Trump. What made the change?
I began listening to someone, her name is Candace Owens, and I read her book, and it just opened my eyes to maybe he's not this person that I have been led to believe that he was.
So you voted against Trump in 2016,
yes,
but then in 2020 you voted for him?
Absolutely.
Why?
I saw how things were going during his first term, and I was pleasantly surprised, and I was pleased with what was happening. I saw the economy getting better. I saw country relations in certain countries getting better.